Part 1. Why staying single is the best thing you can do. Have you ever noticed how some men lose their peace long before they lose their freedom? Not on a battlefield, but in the living room, signing invisible contracts with the wrong person out of fear of being alone. They don't die too soon, they simply stop living. A man who can't stand his own silence will run into the arms of chaos just to fill the noise. Marcus Aurelius said, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful and free of interruptions than your own soul." Society applauds attachments. It celebrates couple photos, status updates, and the illusion of completeness. But the Stoics warned us, chains that shine are still chains. Most men don't realize it until it's too late. What looks like love is often fear wearing perfume. You've seen it, the coworker who jumps from one relationship to another, never stopping to ask, "Do I even know myself?" Or the relative who posts perfect pictures but looks empty when the camera turns off. The tragedy isn't that we're alone, it's that we keep avoiding the one person we need to face, ourselves. Being single isn't punishment. It's training. A season to rebuild your armor, not against love, but against illusion. It's where your mind stops chasing validation and starts seeking truth. Seneca wrote, "If you wish to be loved, love yourself first." And solitude is how you learn that, not by running from silence, but by walking into it. Every man who fears solitude ends up mistaking comfort for connection. But the man who embraces solitude becomes calm, centered, and untouchable. Tonight, before you scroll or text someone just to fill the emptiness, pause. Ask yourself, am I seeking connection or escaping myself? If the answer stings, that's good. That's your awakening. Solitude isn't the absence of lovites, the presence of strength. It's the quiet boot camp where peace becomes power. So before you chase another illusion of completeness, remember, you are not half of anyone. You are whole as you are. The man who can stand alone without fear is the only man ready to love without losing himself. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That's the truth most will never learn, but you will. Part 2. The shield against wrong attachments. The wrong relationship can strip a man faster than bankruptcy and wound him deeper than any failure. You don't need a bad person to destroy you, just the wrong one at the wrong time. When fear of being alone drives your choices, you mistake chains for love. And those chains often sparkle. They look like comfort, romance, stability, but paint gold on iron. And it's still iron. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Yet most men hand that power away to someone who slowly drains their peace in exchange for attention. I've seen strong men leaders, builders, thinkers turn into shells of themselves because they couldn't walk away from a soft voice that hit a storm. Once, I thought I could fix someone with love. I believed if I just cared enough, they'd change. But love isn't an upgrade, it's a mirror. It shows who we are, not who we wish to become. The Stoics teach us that what's outside our control can't define our peace. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." And bravery here means walking away when the glow of attachment hides a cage. Too many men trade peace for drama and call it devotion. But solitude isn't emptiness, it's clarity. It sharpens your vision. You begin to see who adds peace and who multiplies chaos, who respects your boundaries, and who only reflects your fears back at you. Here's a simple practice. Write down 3 traits you ignored in a past relationship. Ask yourself, if they appeared again, would you excuse them or would you walk away sooner? That small act of awareness can save you years of regret. Remember, solitude isn't a setback. It's protection. Every day you remain unattached to the wrong person, you are not behind, you are ahead. As Epictetus said, freedom is the right to live as we wish. And the man who guards his peace guards his freedom. Part 3. Owning your time completely. Your time is the only currency you truly own. You can lose money and earn it back, but once a moment is gone, it never returns. Yet most men spend their time like loose change, pouring it into arguments, empty routines and relationships that drain instead of build. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Apply that to time. Freedom isn't having endless hours, it's having hours untouched by the wrong demands. When you're single, every second becomes your own again. You're not checking your phone for texts, not rearranging your day around someone else's moods. Your time becomes sacred. I once had a friend who set alarms not for his goals, but for his girlfriend's check-in calls. Every buzz was another slice of his life disappearing. When it ended, he said, "It feels like I just got 20 hours a week back." That wasn't heartbreak, it was release, Seneca wrote. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Being single gives you a chance to reclaim that time, to pour it into your craft, your discipline, your peace. I remember losing entire weekends pretending to care about things I hated just to keep someone entertained. That's not love, that's self-erasure. A man's devotion without boundaries becomes slow erosion. Here's a reflection. Look at your past week's calendar. Circle every activity done out of guilt or fear of conflict. Now, imagine those hours invested in yourself, in training, reading, building something lasting. That's the shift from surviving to living. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. So ask yourself, is your time your own, or have you already traded it away? When you guard your hours, you guard your life. Because the man who owns his time owns his destiny. Part 4, Self-Mastery. Without distractions, most people believe relationships make them disciplined. But often, they do the opposite. They scatter your focus, drain your willpower, and fill your mind with storms that aren't yours to calm. Instead of mastering yourself, you end up managing someone else's emotions. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Solitude is where that mastery is forged. No midnight arguments, no emotional roller coasters, no distractions disguised as love. Just you, your thoughts, and the quiet space where strength takes shape. I once watched two men at the same office. One arrived exhausted every morning, drained by conflict at home. The other, single and steady, arrived early, trained before work, and stayed sharp all day. Same environment, two outcomes. One was a master of himself. The other a servant of someone else's chaos. Being single is not isolation, it's focus. It's a boot camp for your mind and body. Your dumbbells won't text you at 2 a.m. asking if you still care. Your journal won't accuse you of neglect. Solitude gives you the gift of pure energy, every ounce redirected toward growth. Seneca wrote, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." Without direction, relationships become anchors instead of sails. But when you stand alone, your course is yours to command. You start shaping the man you want to be, not the one others expect you to be. Here's your practice. Take 1 hour tonight and make it entirely yours. Read, train, or build something. No phone, no messages, no noise. You'll feel your power return, quietly, steadily. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. So guard those thoughts. Because if you can't master yourself in solitude, you'll never hold steady when the weight of love comes crashing in. Part 5, Protecting your energy from toxic people. One wrong person can drain you faster than 100 problems. That's the hidden tax of love no one talks about. When you're single, your energy belongs fully to you. But when you're with the wrong person, it becomes a battlefield, every word weighed. Every silence judged, every choice filtered through their moods. Epictetus said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." The same is true in love. If you believe constant exhaustion is normal, you'll never see the truth. Peace is the real proof of love. I once knew a woman named Mara. To the world, she was magnetic, bright, unstoppable. But behind closed doors, there was chaos. Endless accusations, guilt trips, and emotional storms that left me empty. I wasn't in love. I was in survival. It took solitude to realize that not every beautiful face hides peace. Some hide fire, and not the kind that warms youth, the kind that burns you slowly. Seneca wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." It's a simple rule. If someone consistently drains you, they are not your person. Energy is not infinite. Every day spent defending your peace from the wrong one is a day stolen from your purpose, your health, your future. Most men don't stay because they're blind. They stay because they're afraid of silence. But silence never killed anyone. The wrong person, however, will bleed you slowly until you no longer recognize yourself. Marcus Aurelius said, "You will become what you give your attention to." So guard that attention as if your soul depends on it, because it does. Here's your practice. Take one evening this week and track where your energy goes. Who do you speak to? How do you feel afterwards, drained or alive? Then cut one of the drains. Even one. You'll feel lighter, freer, more yourself. Being single ISN, T emptiness. It's clarity. Clarity is the shield that keeps toxic people from walking into your soul with muddy shoes. Better to walk alone with clean energy than to share your life with someone who poisons it. Part 6. Learning to love your own company most. People aren't afraid of being with others, they're afraid of being with themselves. That's why silence feels heavy and weekends alone feel like punishment. But when you stop running from your own presence, you discover a peace no relationship can give you. Marcus Aurelius said, "Men seek retreats for themselves. But nowhere can a man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That's what solitude truly is, not isolation, but returning home to yourself. I remember one Friday night, sitting alone while everyone else posted date night photos. At first, the room felt like a cage. Then I brewed coffee, opened a book I'd ignored for months, and felt something shift. It wasn't loneliness, it was freedom. The kind of calm that comes when you no longer need someone else to fill the silence. Seneca wrote, "He who is contented is rich," and that contentment begins when you stop searching for validation in others. The moment you learn to enjoy your own company, satisfaction finally appears, not from attention, but from alignment. It's a quiet confidence that says, "I'm enough." Here's your practice. Take yourself out this week. Go to dinner alone. Sit in the park without your phone. Notice the urge to escape into distractions, then breathe through it. That discomfort is your training ground. It's how solitude builds inner muscle. Epictetus taught, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." So let people misunderstand your peace. Let them call it loneliness while you're busy finding strength. Because once you fall in love with your own presence, you'll never beg for half-hearted attention again. You'll walk through the world wholesome, complete, unshaken. When you can sit in silence and feel peace instead of panic, you've already mastered what most people spend a lifetime chasing. Part 7. Escaping the trap of validation. The fastest way to lose yourself is to keep asking, "Do they approve of me?" Most men don't even notice when it starts. You adjust your tone so others agree, wear what she likes instead of what feels true, and post for likes rather than meaning. Soon, you're not living your life. You're performing for applause. Epictetus said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That's the core of freedom, no longer needing the crowd to tell you who you are. Because the more you chase validation, the less respect you earn. People can sense neediness. It smells like fear. Real confidence doesn't announce itself, it moves silently, anchored in self-respect. I once bought a car I couldn't afford just to look successful. No one cared except my bank account. That's the cruel joke of external approval. It costs you peace and buys you nothing. Seneca wrote, "He who seeks approval from the crowd has made himself their slave." The Stoics taught that applause is a distraction. The only audience that matters is your conscience. Here's a small challenge. Do one bold thing this week without explaining yourself. Say no without apology. Wear what you like, even if it's not trendy. Share something meaningful, even if it gets to likes. That sting you feel, that's growth. It's the sound of your soul detaching from dependency. Marcus Aurelius said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." When you stop needing to be seen as right, you start living right. When you no longer crave attention, you find direction. The day you no longer need the crowd's applause is the day you hear your own voice again. That's the sound of freedom, the calm hum of self-mastery. Part 8. Growing stronger in solitude. Most people run from silence as if it's a burning house. They fill every empty space with noise, company, and distraction, afraid of what they might face if they sit alone. But solitude isn't weakness. It's the forge where real strength is made. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." The quiet you fear is the same place where your power waits to be found. When you face the silence, you stop depending on noise to feel alive. I've seen men crumble after breakups because they never learned to stand alone. Their identity was borrowed from someone else's approval. But the ones who face solitude head-on emerge unshakable, calm in storms, grounded in chaos. Because they've learned the hardest truth, you don't find peace in company, you bring it there. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short life, but that we waste much of it. And nothing wastes life faster than fearing time alone." When you walk alone, you rediscover the small joys of sunrise. A page that stirs your mind, the victory of finishing what you started without anyone watching. Each of those moments builds quiet strength. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Solitude is the gym where you train that mastery. Each time you sit in silence without reaching for your phone, each night you face your thoughts without escape, you grow. Once you survive solitude, you stop fearing loss. You've already proven you can stand on your own. No rejection, no absence, no silence can shake you again. Because solitude doesn't make you lonely, it makes you powerful. So take 10 minutes tonight. Sit quietly. No distractions. Just you and your breath. You'll feel at the first spark of strength most people never touch. And from that moment on, you'll never confuse being alone with being weak again. Part 9. Focusing on your mission, not pleasing others. One of the biggest traps men fall into when they fear being single is living for someone else's approval. They bend their schedules, their dreams, and even their purpose just to keep someone happy. But when you stop explaining yourself, stop apologizing for your focus, your mission finally takes the front seat. Epictetus said, "A man is not free who is not master of himself." When you live to please others, you're not leading your life, you're auditioning for theirs. But when your mornings, your nights, and your energy belong to you, life begins to compound in ways most people never experience. I remember nearly proposing once with a ring in my pocket and fear in my chest. Deep down, I knew I wasn't ready. I was still healing from my past, still rebuilding the man I wanted to be. If I had gone through with it, I would have dragged her into battles that weren't hers to fight. Sometimes love requires honesty, not about others, but about where we truly are. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your thoughts are consumed by approval, you become dependent. But when they're anchored in purpose, you become unstoppable. Mission gives meaning to solitude. It turns silence into strategy. Seneca said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Your single season is not a curse, it's your training ground. It's the time to invest in your craft, your discipline, and your vision. The hours you once gave away in arguments can now build something eternal. Here's your reflection. What goal, what project, what dream have you buried to keep someone comfortable? What if now is the exact season to bring it back to life? Because when a man chases his mission, he doesn't just build a future, he builds a spine. And once that spine is built, no relationship worth keeping will ever ask you to trade it away. Part 10. Building emotional independence and becoming whole. The greatest lie we're told is that we need someone else to complete us. Movies, songs, and even family repeat it. Find your other half. But that belief is poison. Because the moment you see yourself as incomplete, you start chasing people to patch the hole inside you. Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself." True happiness doesn't come from being loved. It comes from learning to love your own life. When you can walk into an empty room and still feel peace, when you can spend a weekend alone and still feel purpose, you've already become whole. Many men confuse dependence for love. They mistake the rush of being needed for connection. but what they really feel is fear, the fear of silence, of emptiness, of self-confrontation. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is a slave to his passions." That slavery isn't just lust or anger, it's the inability to stand on your own 2 feet emotionally. Solitude is the training ground where emotional independence is built. It's like lifting weights without a spotter, terrifying at first, but transformative once you master it. Each moment you calm your storms alone, you strengthen the foundation of your spirit. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Loneliness is that friction. It's not punishment, it's polish. Here's a practice that can change everything. Sit across from an empty chair and imagine the version of you who still craves approval sitting there. Look him in the eyes and say, "You are safe. You are whole. You don't need anyone to complete you." Do this for a week, and you'll feel that the hollow space begins to fade. What remains is calm strength. You are not half of anyone. You are already whole. Love is not meant to fill your emptiness. It's meant to overflow from your completeness. When you stand steady on your own, you'll never cling out of fear again, you'll choose from freedom. And that choice is what Stoicism calls true strength.